What's up, guys? It's me, Anderson Silva.
What's going on, guys? I have some big news.
I have a good news. I come back to fight in November 14th
on the Jake Paul card in Miami
on Netflix.
It's going to be on Netflix. Make sure you tune in because I'm going out there to beat him again.
Stay tuned.
Anderson Silva is back, and this time, he's not stepping into the octagon but into a boxing ring, ready to reignite one of the most memorable rivalries in UFC history.
Anderson Silva is boxing Chris Weidman. Yeah, this is actually happening, and it all goes down on the 14th of November on the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis card. But does anyone really want to see this? Does anyone really want to see two old retired MMA fighters with one pair of good legs between them swinging at each other? It's going to be a disaster, and I wish they'd stop putting fights like this together.
The Spider will face Chris Weidman once again, but under very different rules and lights. Their names will appear on the undercard of the massive Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis event set for November 14th at the Casella Center in Miami, Florida, a show that's already shaping up to be one of the most talked about crossover events of the year. The fight will stream live on Netflix, bringing together a mix of combat sports legends, internet celebrities, and world champions in one wild night. Silva and Weidman's history goes back more than a decade, with their rivalry written into UFC folklore. In 2013, Weidman shocked the world when he knocked out Silva, ending his long championship reign. Their rematch was just as dramatic, though in a heartbreaking way, as Silva's leg snapped during a kick, forcing a stoppage and giving Weidman his second win. Now, after years of different paths, they'll face each other once more time, but with gloves and rules of boxing instead of MMA.
The year is 2025, and we just got news about a Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva trilogy fight. It will take place in Miami on November 14th, this time as boxing. Now, yes, these guys are both way too old to still be fighting, but to be honest, this is one of those trilogy fights that we never got that we really should have got years ago. It still feels to me like this rivalry was never complete, because in the first matchup, Chris Weidman got his knockout fair and square, but some people throw in the caveat that Silva was showboating. If Silva was taking it serious, he would have won. Whatever you think, fine. But then in the highly anticipated rematch, Anderson Silva's leg snapped, so we didn't really get a full rematch. I've also always wanted to see this trilogy because Anderson Silva was at that time the greatest fighter of all time, and he had his prime cut by Chris Weidman. Just talk about Chris Weidman for a second. He's the guy who kind of got me into the UFC. I just think he's super underrated in terms of all-time talks, especially at middleweight. Like, in my eyes, he's neck and neck with Dricus Du Plessis in terms of where he stands all-time at middleweight. Yeah, Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman in boxing, I'm all for it. I think it will be cool. I think it will be fun, and I'll probably end up watching it. I can't lie.
The undercard won't just feature Silva and Weidman, it's stacked with talent, including Gary Antoine Russell taking on Andy Hirauka, Avius Griffin meeting Justin Cardona, and Alicia Baumgardner squaring off against Layla Bedouin. But no matter how strong the lineup is, all eyes are on the main event. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, a fight that's as bizarre as it is intriguing. Jake Paul continues his campaign to shake up the fight world, this time taking on one of boxing's pound-for-pound stars, Gervonta Tank Davis. The two are set to face off in a 10-round exhibition bout, not a sanctioned fight, which means there will be no official winner or betting lines. The setup has raised eyebrows across the boxing community, but it's also drawn massive attention for how unusual it is. Davis, known for his knockout power at lightweight, will be moving up dramatically in weight to meet Paul at a 195-pound limit, a huge difference considering Paul is naturally much bigger. Both fighters will wear 12-ounce gloves when they step into the ring.
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Why?
It's just disappointing on Jake's end. We're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more, where you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. To me, that's just tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit.
People were saying, well, Ryan, you called out Jake Paul before too, so
I'm way bigger than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is 5'4", and his last fight was at 133. My last fight was 147, and I walked around 170. So 170 to 190 is not too much difference, but Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, it's a very unfair fight. I'm gonna call him out on his shit, bro. That's a disgrace of a fight.
Yeah.
You know it. Yeah, you're doing these big fights, but this is not necessarily boxing. This is entertainment. Just say you're an entertainment boxer, but this is not really boxing.
Former champion Paulie Malignaggi, never shy to voice his thoughts, believes the matchup is more of a spectacle than a sport. He thinks the event feels like a show with unpredictable elements, especially since it's not a regulated fight. He pointed out that exhibitions can often blur lines between entertainment and real competition. Malignaggi also touched on how the size disparity could make the fight dangerous, with Jake Paul potentially outweighing Davis by almost 100 pounds. The only equalizer in his view could be the glove size. If smaller gloves were used, Davis's power might shine through, but with 12-ounce gloves, the advantage likely leans toward Paul.
So I just want to ask you, Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis. I know you've seen, you've been
You know
hammering
what,
Davis
Carl?
lately for that. What do you
I
reckon,
don't think people are talking about this enough. The fact that it's not a real fight, it's an exhibition. And people always talk about Jake setting up his fights. I personally don't think Jake sets up his fights. I think, they're sanctioned fights, and, you're risking a federal crime if you set up a sanctioned fight. So I personally don't think, when I watch it, I don't. I just think he's fighting opponents that, are not with it anymore or are too small for him and whatnot. But in this situation, it is an exhibition. So you've got to keep in mind that this could be set up. This could be like WWE. This one could be set up. I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but this is not a sanctioned fight, champ. This is an exhibition. And an exhibition means you cannot bet on it. You cannot bet on the result. If you remember, this is why they changed the Mike Tyson fight from an exhibition to a real fight, because they realized, an exhibition, you could stage it and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions, who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that, as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Zab Judah, another respected former world champion, gave his take from a fighter's perspective. He understood Davis's quest, no-nonsense approach to promotion, describing him as someone who prefers to let his fist do the talking. Judah thought the glove size favored Jake Paul, suggesting that if he were in Davis's shoes, he would have pushed for smaller gloves to balance out the weight disadvantage. Despite that, he still sees Davis as dangerous, describing him as someone with the mindset of a destroyer, a man who doesn't talk much but shows everything in the ring.
Did you see the Tank and Jake Paul press conference?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
And listen, they promoting. You know what I'm saying? That's how Tank is. That's Tank's personality. He coming in there. I'm the destroyer. I ain't doing a whole bunch of laughing and giggling and playing. What's up? When's the date? Ring the bell. So I get how his persona is. I don't do a lot of talking. I'm a killer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I do. Y'all do that talking.
Adding more fuel to the fire, Shakur Stevenson has reportedly reached out to help Jake Paul prepare. According to Paul, Stevenson personally offered to join his camp along with other fighters like Montana Love, Jermaine Ortiz, and Erickson Lubin. All of them are known for their speed and southpaw stance, which makes them ideal sparring partners for mimicking Davis. What makes Stevenson's involvement so shocking is his ongoing rivalry with Gervonta Davis. The two have traded barbs for years without ever stepping into the same ring.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn also weighed in, expressing confusion about the whole matchup. He questioned why Davis, a legitimate world champion still in his prime, would take a fight like this. Hearn believes it's risky and puzzling decision, especially given the size difference and the fact that Davis has other, more meaningful opponents available. He even mentioned that there were talks at one point about Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua, a matchup that would have made far more sense from a physical standpoint.
Big news, Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. Not a real fight, an exhibition fight, November the 15th.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting going from heavyweight to lightweight very quickly. We knew that Jake would potentially take a fight this side of the year. I think I was the first one to say about 3 or 4 months ago that fight was agreed between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. I wasn't expecting it to be announced today. But it is what it is. I'm not, you know, I've had a lot of media asking me my opinion of it today. It is what it is. I think on one side you have to understand the business of it. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these 14-ounce gloves. I don't know what it's going to be, but like, you know, you've now got Jake, who's a 210, 220 pounder fighting a 135 pounder. Bit weird, but at the same time, you know, I can't be a hypocrite and say, if you're Gervonta Davis and you're being offered 20, 30, 40 million, whatever the number is, and you're getting 7 or 8 to fight Lamont Roach in a 50-50, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe the kid's half checked out of the game anyway, you know? So I think as long as we kind of established it's not boxing and it's just this entertainment thing, then I get it. But, you know, I think it probably, a lot of people are saying, you know, do you still want to fight him? Anthony. It's like,
yeah,
we never really wanted to fight him. We were never really looking for the fight. We were approached about the fight and we would have said yes. Whether they actually ever wanted to fight him or whether it was just, you know, for a bit of clout. But if he did want the fight, probably does change things a little bit now because, you know, if he gets beat up by Gervonta or, I don't know, like, I just don't know what's going to happen. But that's the freakiness of it. So I can't really knock it, but it's just not really for me.
Meanwhile, Conor McGregor couldn't help but chime in. When asked about the fight, the Irish star seemed amused more than anything. He admitted that he might check out the highlights but probably wouldn't sit through the entire event. McGregor's reaction summed up what a lot of people feel: mild curiosity mixed with disbelief that such a matchup is even happening. It's entertainment, sure, but not everyone's taking it seriously.
What about him fighting Tank? The size difference.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. Somewhat similar to the Tyson bout. I'm indifferent to it. Be curious to see. I'm not invested in it, you know.
I don't think I can get invested.
I'll watch on X, alright. I'll watch the highlights on X, alright.
Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier took a harsher stance. He found the matchup ridiculous, calling it a sign of how far boxing has strayed from its traditional roots. For Cormier, the idea of a lightweight stepping in against a cruiserweight, even in an exhibition, damages the sport's integrity. He acknowledged Jake Paul's success in drawing attention, but warned that this kind of fight blurs the line between sport and performance art. Cormier urged promoters to stop feeding into these spectacles, suggesting they make boxing look more like a sideshow than a discipline built in skill and respect.
We were yelling so much about him fighting someone, fight somebody your size. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135 pounds.
Mike Perry, who has first-hand experience facing Jake Paul, offered his own take. He was stopped by Paul in their fight last year and believes Davis might not have the same hunger he once did. Perry pointed to Davis's recent draw with Lamont Roach Jr. as evidence that his drive could be fading. He respects Davis's ability but questioned whether he's still mentally sharp enough for a challenge like this. Paul's youth, size, and obsession with proving himself could make things interesting, and if Davis isn't fully committed, he could be caught off guard.
Jake is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, I mean, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Tim Bradley, the former world champion and respected commentator, approached it from another angle. He thinks Davis might be looking at the end game, not legacy, but longevity. Bradley suspects that this fight could be part of Davis's farewell plan, a way to secure a few big paydays before hanging up the gloves. He even floated the idea of a potential future exhibition between Davis and Manny Pacquiao, something that would draw massive attention and money.
With his kids hanging out singing Kumbaya songs. This is it. One of them right here. I think he gonna have two. This is one. The next one gonna be Manny Pacquiao, I think. And then I think that's when he gonna get up and he gonna say, "Bye boxing. Thank you so much." Yup. And guess what? They gonna be 2 years from now. They gonna be saying, Tank Davis. Do you know who this is? Yeah. This is the Hall of Fame. Yep. Tank Davis getting in the Hall of Fame. I don't give a damn what anybody say. Watch what happens.
Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's most respected voices, gave a more balanced analysis. He acknowledged how absurd the weight difference is, but reminded fans that Davis's power can't be dismissed. With 28 knockouts and 31 wins, Davis's explosiveness is the greater equalizer. Atlas pointed out that one clean shot from Davis could still change everything, even against a much larger opponent. He cited Davis's knockout over Frank Martin in 2024 as proof that his power translates no matter who's in front of him.
What if Tank Davis, who can punch, who is a hell of a fighter, who is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, what if he lands a punch on this bigger guy's chin, right, who's not a professional fighter? What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know the size difference is what creates the problem.
Teofimo Lopez, another current star, refused to rule anything out. He noted that Jake Paul has been improving with every fight and that boxing is full of surprises. In his eyes, while the matchup is unconventional, stranger things have happened in the sport. He stopped short of predicting an upset but admitted that the combination of Paul's size and determination could make things more competitive than people expect.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens. You know, we expected Mike Tyson to do something, didn't go out that way. Jake Paul's training very hard, so, you know, kudos to both guys. I'm not going to critique them, you know, only support them.
Even UFC President Dana White added his voice gap to the growing chorus of opinions. White expressed concern about the physical gap between the two men and questioned whether Davis could realistically overcome someone as big as Paul. He admitted that while Davis's skills are elite, physics might simply be too much to overcome. His comments summed up what many are thinking, that the fight is either an exciting experiment or an unnecessary circus.
He's going to fight Gervonta Davis. It's like when who do you got? You guys need to fight guys your same size. You know what I mean? When you fought Floyd, you are massive. You're a massive dude. Floyd's tiny. And I'm sure when you were training, you're like, all right, I'm going to hit this guy with a couple punches and grab him, tie him up. And he did hit you with a bomb of an overhand right one time. And you ate it. You ate that punch. And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than Floyd. But he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, you know, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up, but I don't hate your brother.
All in all, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis event has turned into one of the most talked about spectacles in combat sports, combining legitimate fighters, celebrity intrigue, and endless controversy. With Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman reigniting their rivalry on the same card, the night promises nostalgia, chaos, and plenty of debate. Whether fans see it as a celebration of entertainment or a sign of boxing's decline, one thing's for sure, everyone will be watching.